Hello friends, good morning everybody. If I'm audible, just let me know. Audible. Okay. So shall we start the session? Right. Thank you so much. Now, I think you must be aware of these circumstances that have been building in Parliament, that the turbulent winter session has ended a day before schedule, right? So we need not to go that much into details what happened in the Parliament. But one of the things that we can take away from this is that there are 3 sessions that are to be held in a particular year related in Parliament. One is the budget session, second one is the monsoon session, and third one is the winter session. So here they are talking about the winter session that has ended a day before the schedule, right? So this is the point that we have to understand. Plus there has been a statement from the speaker as well that it has recorded, if we talk about Lok Sabha, 74% productivity. As we can see over here that there has been total of 18 bills that have been passed in this winter session of Parliament, right? So these are the certain highlights that we can take from the winter session that has been just concluded. Okay. The second important news is Lok Sabha passes bill on CEC EC appointment. Now, I have already told you related to this matter that way before the Rajya Sabha passed the bill and now Lok Sabha has passed the bill. Before that, in Supreme Court in March 2023 had clearly said that for the post of appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner, there shall be a panel that shall be comprising of Prime Minister, CGI and the leader of the opposition. Now, the government has included a new bill and in that bill, there has been certain changes that has been introduced. Now, what are the changes? Let's try to understand. Now, PM is still there, leader of opposition is still there, but CGI has been replaced with the cabinet minister. CGI has been released with the cabinet minister. Now, one of the theories that we can understand from this particular process that has been undertaken under the new bill is that why judiciary will be a part of something related to executive when judiciary says that in their functioning and in their appointment there shall be no role of the executive. That could be highlighted by the National Judicial Appointment Commission as well, right? That could be highlighted by the National Judicial Appointment Commission as well. That was declared null and void. Why? Because in the appointment of the judges of High Court and Supreme Court, there was a provision that was introduced in National Judicial Appointment Commission that there would be the role of executive. So if that was declared null and void by the Supreme Court, so the government says why there shall be any interfering of, if we talk about judiciary in the process of appointment of executive. So this has been the indicator that has been used by the government and they have replaced Chief Justice of India with the cabinet minister, that there shall not be no judiciary that shall be playing an active role in the executive decision making process. So this is one of the theories that we have to understand. Second point that you have to understand it from an opposition point of view, that they are basically protesting against this bill that has been now passed by Rajya Sabha and now have been passed by Lok Sabha. It is related to, now the panel would be consisting of PM and cabinet minister. So if the panel is consisting of Prime Minister and the cabinet minister, then there would be certain advantage to the ruling party in context of Chief Election Commissioner and election commissioners, that they can do or provide certain services to the Prime Minister and to the cabinet minister or to the ruling party during the course of any election process, right? So these are the concerns that have been highlighted by the opposition parties, right? कि उनको ज़्यादा टाइम मिल सकता है, पोलिंग उनके अकॉर्डिंग हो सकती है, टाइमिंग शेड्यूलिंग सब उनके अकॉर्डिंगली सेट किया जा सकता है, and there could be a certain biasness of the election commissioners towards the ruling party, because here the decision that would be taken on the basis of majority, that is, here we can see the majorities of the ruling party with the way we have PM and the cabinet minister, right? So these are the concerns that we have to understand and these are the problematic areas that we have right now in the process of appointment of Chief Election Commissioners and Election Commissioners. I hope you are getting this particular point. We have already discussed this, but एक बार होता है कि फिर से आपका revise हो जाता है. Okay, now coming to the next news. Now we have to directly go to the editorial, right? अब ये जितने भी एडिटोरियल है ना आज के, ये सारे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से रिलेटेड है, ठीक है? पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से रिलेटेड है, हम ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे. एक आर्टिकल है, ये कोविड से रिलेटेड है, आपको शायद पता होगा कि नए वेरिएंट की बातचीत चल रही है, नाउ द न्यू वैरायटी ऑफ कोविड और लेट्स से कोविड हैज बीन रीइंट्रोड्यूस्ड एंड इट हैज रीसर्फेस्ड अगेन, दैट इज व्हाई देयर हैज बीन अ लॉट ऑफ कंसर्न अमंग वेरियस स्टेट्स एज वेल and among people as well. We will try to discuss this, not that much important, but we will try to discuss this, right? But next article that we're going to discuss in detail, it is very important and it is the most important article or editorial of today, that is, should an all India judicial service be created? Now this is the biggest question mark that has been now doing the rounds as it was being debated on our constitution day as well, कि क्या हमारे देश के अंदर एक ऑल इंडिया जुडिशियल सर्विस होनी चाहिए या नहीं. Let's try to figure out the answers, the pros and the cons, so that we are able to understand this situation a lot better and we have a clear viewpoint related to this, that how this could be done, what are the drawbacks, what is the need, and if it is implemented, how much side effects it could have. Let's try to understand. Now, the most important or the biggest question that we have is related to all India judicial service. It is being said that we need to create an all India judicial service for the appointment of district judiciary, right? So there the judicial service is being contemplated for the appointment of district judge. First of all, this is the point that we have to understand. Second important thing we have to understand in this context is that they are trying to create on the same lines as we have all Indian administrative services, right? For the exam that we are preparing, that is all Indian administrative services, whose recruitment process is being conducted by UPSC, right? Union Public Service Commission. So this is the background that we have, that the government, or there has been a proposal that why can't we create an all India judicial service for the appointment of district judiciary. On the same lines, we have all Indian administrative service, that recruitment process that is being undertaken by Union Public Service Commission. Now the question is, why is there the need and what are the challenges? Now let's try to understand the whole situation. Now first of all, let's assume if we talk about that there is all India judicial service that has been undertaken, right? मान लेते हैं कि ऐसा एग्जाम कंडक्ट किया जाता है. Now one thing you have to understand is that one of the problematic areas that we have in this context is, let's say if in a particular state, very important thing, this is the point that you have to understand, that if we talk about lower judiciary or the district judiciary, the decisions and all the what we can say, the proceedings, they all take place in regional languages. First of all, they all take place in regional languages. Second important thing is, custom of a particular state also play a very important role in decision making. Customs of a particular state play a very important role in decision making. Now if I consider these 2 points and let's try to understand the whole scenario. मान लीजिए there has been a particular exam that is being conducted. First of all, this exam would be conducted and it would be only applicable for the people that have basically are in the age of 35 to 42 years. First of all, for them only this particular provision can be created, that is all India judicial service. This is the first point that we have to understand. A person would have already been a lawyer, or let's say for 10 to 15 years before the conduct of all India judicial service. Now consider this thing, a person who has been brought up in one state, now after let's say going for this exam, all India judicial service exam, gets selected in this exam and accordingly IAS की तरह होता है, जैसे कार्डर मिलेगा, there will be signed a cadre and he can be posted to another state as well, that is very far away from his family, from his house, from his friends, from his the areas where he was basically doing his what he was involved in the judicial process. Now if a person is going away to another state, obviously there would be a problem of languages as well. This is the point that we have to understand, and understanding a language and let's say to be properly what we can say properly able to adjust in that scenario, it would be a difficult scenario. Plus कस्टम्स ऑल्सो प्ले अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. एक स्टेट के कस्टम्स होते हैं, उसी के अकॉर्डिंगली कुछ रूल्स आप समझता है आदमी, ट्रेडिशन समझता है, एंड उसी के अकॉर्डिंगली दे ट्राई टू हैव अ सर्टेन जजमेंट एज वेल. बट दिस कुड बी अ प्रॉब्लमेटिक एरिया फॉर अ पर्सन हु इज फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट स्टेट if he is appointed to another state in the context of all India judicial service. So one of the problem that has been highlighted is regional language. Second is the customs of a particular state. Third thing, the problem is if a person who has already well established its business in a particular state has been let's say involved as a lawyer, right, and earning very well and has been staying in a one state, then it would be a disincentive for that person. Then why would that person be leaving his well-to-do job, go for this exam, and then be going to another state where he has to face the language issues and where customs will also play a very important role. So it would be difficult for a person to leave his established business and family, right? So this is the proposition that we have to understand, that this could come as a hurdle in the all India judicial service as well, business and family, right? So this is the problem we have. Third thing we have to understand, or the fourth thing we have to understand in this whole context is, मान लीजिए आज के टाइम पे हम देखते हैं डिफरेंट स्टेट्स के अपने डिफरेंट लॉज हैं, डिफरेंट स्टेट्स हैव डिफरेंट लॉज रिलेटेड टू द रिजर्वेशन दैट दे आर ट्राइंग टू प्रमोट इन द जुडिशियल प्रोसेस, राइट? इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द सिनेरियो दैट इज राइट नाउ, if we consider various we can say the vulnerable sections like women, SC, ST and OBCs, more representation till now in the judicial services at the state level has been provided more to the women. So this is one of the things we have to understand. Women till now has got more representation, but if we talk about the vulnerable section like SCs, STs and OBCs, they haven't been able to get the required representation or the reservation in the judicial service in a particular state. Now it comes as a very much a shining light if we talk about all India judicial service in this context. How? Now if there is an all India judicial service, there would be certain seats that would be reserved for a particular section, like we have in the case of IAS as well, that there is a particular section, the seats that has reserved for SCs, STs and OBCs. So in that scenario, this could play a very important role in rationalization of this whole process, right? The people could get more representation, SCs, STs and OBCs get more representation. Now in that particular sense, we can say yes, it can help us in realizing this particular representation of varied section of the community. So in that scenario, if we talk about, all India judicial service can be thought of as a service that can provide justice to the vulnerable sections. So this is the fourth perspective that we have. Now this is the perspective I am talking in favor of. This is the perspective I have talked about that is not in the favor. Now the fifth thing that we have to understand is, right now we have heard about that there are a lot of cases that are still pending in various courts, right, in district courts as well. Plus there are a lot of vacancies as well if we talk about district judges. So that vacancies can be completed and can be fulfilled if there is such a service called all India judicial service. So this is one of the positive prospects that we have, that it can fill the vacant positions in the judicial service, कि ये जो सीट्स वेकेंट पड़ी हैं उनको फुलफिल या उनको भरने में कामयाब हो सकते हैं if we are able to have a such a examination that is all India judicial service. But the major problem that we are right now seeing is that when we talk about all Indian administrative service, one of the things that we have to understand is that it will take a lot time for a person to be involved and be let's say फ्रॉम व्हाट वी कॉल इट एज के एक एस्पिरेंट से आईएएस ऑफिसर बनने में काफी टाइम लग जाता है, टाइम कंज्यूमिंग है, बिकॉज यू हैव टू स्टडी अ लॉट. Similarly in this context, its all India judicial service can be a certain time consuming process as well, right? Similar on the lines of IAS, it could be a time consuming process as well, and that could act as a hurdle for various people who are, if they are going to get into all India judicial services, right? So these are the certain concerns that we have when I talk about all India judicial service. And one of the things we have to understand is, if ever there is such a proposal, it has to be passed by resolution, that is to be by Rajya Sabha. Why? Because the states are the ones that will be hampered a lot, because इफ वी टॉक अबाउट कोई भी जजेस अगर फैसला लेते हैं ना, सबसे ज्यादा जो लिटिगेंट्स होते हैं वो कौन से होते हैं? स्टेट होती है। लिटिगेंट ज्यादातर कौन सी होती है? स्टेट गवर्नमेंट होती है। नाउ वन ऑफ द थिंग यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इज state is the one that has been earlier appointing the people to the post of district judiciary, and now if that power is taken away from them and it is being given to the center, so can I say that would be a whole dent to federalism as well, right? So we can put in one another point that is going against the judicial service, that it can act as a dent to the federalism structure of the country. Why? Because till now if we talk about, the positions have been filled by the states through their various provisions that they have. हर एक state का अपना होता है. Every state has their own rules how they fill the positions of district judge, right? They have the allocated number of seats, they have the allocated number of seats for the women, they have for the SCs communities, ST and OBCs. But if you are taking away that power from them, obviously you are giving it to the center, and as a result it can lead to destruction of federalism as well on one scenario. And on the second front, you can also saying that it is an effort that is leading to over centralization. It is an effort leading to over centralization, right? So these are the certain problematic areas that has to be addressed before we even think of that whether this particular proposal is feasible or not, if we talk about all India judicial service. If anyone has any other point that they want to add on to this debate, I would be happy to hear those points. If you are able to think of something that yes, if there would be all India judicial service, क्या उससे कुछ better होगा या उससे नुकसान ही होगा? हाँ जी, I'm open to your opinions. You can participate in the opinions as well. हाँ जी, this is the main article that we have today, right? इससे ज़्यादा कोई और important article आज आया ही नहीं है, तो I would be very happy if you are able to participate in this process. हाँ जी, quickly. Okay, Vyom has said local laws will, yes, very good. Yes, one of the things we have to understand is that the local laws, the local customs, it also plays a very important role while a judge is making a decision. When we talk about at the level of district judge, yes, it can play a very important role. Yes, any other point you want to add to, guys? See, these are the type of questions that you get encounter mainly in the mains examination as well as in the interview section as well, right? So you need to have a certain opinion and certain eligibility related to this topic as well, right? I hope, I think these are the points that you must be thinking of as well, right? So these are the points that are most important, and this is the article that is very, very important. I hope this point is clear to everybody. Okay. Now moving to the next part. अब एक पोस्ट ऑफिस बिल है, एक बार इसको डिटेल में नहीं देखेंगे, बस इसको एक बार ही देख लेते हैं कि व्हाट हैज बीन गिवन और द हाइलाइट्स ऑफ द बिल, राइट? नाउ द पोस्ट ऑफिस बिल 2023 says it allows the interception of articles which are transmitted by a post on the ground such as security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, emergency, public safety, or contraventions of the provision of the bill or any other laws. So what they are trying to say over here is, if there is a particular post that is being carried out, it can be intercepted by the authorities if they feel that it is required for the security of the country, if it is very much required for the emergency provisions, if it is for maintaining friendly relations, public order and emergency. So what we are seeing over here is that government is using its powers in order to secure certain rights for them and encroaching the fundamental rights on the pretext of national security. Now this is a big debate, right? जब Pegasus की बात हुई थी तब भी बात हुई थी कि national security important है, तो कोर्ट ने बोला था you cannot encroach the fundamental right as well, right? So this has been the area of concern. Let's try to see more into this. Our Union Minister of Communication, Information and Broadcasting underscored that owing to India's diversity, is very important that interception is done, and this kind of provision is kept in the law for the purpose of national security. Now this is the let's say the this is the stance of the Union Minister. वो तो यही बोलेंगे that it has been context of national security because there is a lot much diversity. The Law Commission pointed out emergency word is not explicitly defined. It provides a wide ground for interception. It also flagged since the term has not been defined, it can not serve as a reasonable ground for the suspension of fundamental right under Article 19(1). Now the main discussion issue in this thing is, when we talk about 19(1), that is freedom of speech and expression, there are a lot of, we can say, reasonable restrictions that could be posed. Public order, morality, friendly relations, right? But the emergency word has not been prescribed under that. But here the word emergency has been prescribed, and the Law Commission has said because the word emergency is a very much a wider connotation, it can have wider connotation. So we do not know what would be the scope of the emergency that could be used by the government in the interception of these posts, right? So as a result, it is not a reasonable ground that has been there under Article 19(1), right? So what they are trying to say, it is an unreasonable scenario or the limitation that is being put forward on the people. The court has also a point with respect to Pegasus that the state did not get a free pass every time the specter of national security is raised. National security cannot be the bugbearer that the judicial shies away by virtue of its mere mentioning. Now, this is the point that you have to understand is कि government cannot always come under the garb यार ये national security के चक्कर में कर रहे हैं, these things are we are doing under the pretext of national security. That can't be the scenario that is being highlighted by the law commission as well, and that is being said by the court as well. हाँ जी, I think this point is clear to everybody, right? व्योम रतन, एक पॉइंट आपका वैलिड है कि एग्जाम रेगुलरली कंडक्ट नहीं होते हैं. हाँ, उस चीज के वजह से हम कह सकते हैं कि इंप्लॉयमेंट जैसी सिचुएशन है वो हैंडल हो सकती है. राइट, वेरी गुड. So these are the points that you can make in your answers while you are attempting such questions on All India Judicial Services. Right. Now moving to the next part. Now this is the most important article. We have missing for 42 years. Namdapha flying squirrel resurfaces in Arunachal Pradesh. Now these are the type of questions that we generally get in our examination, that we talk in prelims in the environment part. Now these are the current affairs that we have to cover. Now what, first of all, this is a nocturnal flying squirrel. It has resurfaced in Arunachal Pradesh after 42 years. The Namdapha flying squirrel, इसका एक scientific name है, देख लेते हैं, Biswamo Euprus biswasi, right? So थोड़ा सा typical सा नाम है, Biswamo Euprus. Then we have biswasi, was last described in 1981, right? It is found in Namdapha Tiger Reserve in Arunachal Pradesh, Changlang district. So Arunachal Pradesh becomes very important. The national parks in Arunachal Pradesh become very important. The tiger reserves, if there are more than one in Arunachal Pradesh, become very important on the context of this flying squirrel that has been found. Now, another thing that becomes very important is how many different varieties of squirrel that are being found in India as well. Now, the last year there was a question on the various, what we can say, habitat of squirrel. Where does it make its nest, right? So that type of questions are also coming, but this is the type of question that we can expect in our answers as or questions as well, right? So इसको अच्छे से पढ़ लो. ये एनिमल और ये जो मैमल है बड़ा ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. कहीं कहीं डाउट होता है कि ये जो एनिमल है ये शेयर करता है हैबिटेट सिमिलर रेड जायंट फ्लाइंग स्क्विरल के साथ, for it which could have been mistaken. Now the team from Assam Conservation Group cited the squirrel in April 2022. Now there is a particular possibility कि ये हो सकता है रेड जायंट फ्लाइंग स्क्विरल हो, बट एक बार इसका डीएनए सीक्वेंस लिया जाएगा, then only we would be able to ascertain this whole process. Right guys? Okay. Now this is all economics news, but not that much important, right? And this is again Israel bombs more Gaza target as envoys seek truce. वो आपको पता ही है ना? अभी at least 15 dead, dozens injured in mass shooting at Prague University. Now this is a particular problem that has been there in US as well. Now it is coming to the Eastern European countries as well, where students and what we can say lone wolf attacks are being conducted, and this is a very scary phenomena for the parents, for the students, as well as for the teachers as well, who goes under this trauma, that is this mass shooting, right? Okay. Now, I think there was one article that I wanted to discuss with you. This was related to staying alert, right? Now, one of the points that we have to understand is when we talk about COVID, the main problem with COVID, when we talk about virus is that it is mutating. When it mutates, it becomes very difficult to target the new version that is basically coming. So, as a result, this becomes very imperative for the health authorities in our country as well, that they go for genome sequencing. Now, this is very important aspect that has been discussed in this editorial, that we shall go forward for genome sequencing. That is the need of the hour. That is very, very important. This is the point that has been highlighted over here. Second thing that they are trying to say over here is that states shall not be discouraged by pinpointing that a lot of cases are coming from a particular state. That shall not discourage them from reporting and from increasing their testing of the people, because when such thing happens, then it can create, or certain states can play under the radar, and it can create a very frightening situation in the time to come. So as a result, states shall not be discouraged. They shall be openly about the cases that are being reported in their areas, and there shall not be any underreporting that shall take place in context of the, when we talk about the COVID cases, because it has now again resurfaced. We have to be again very much pragmatic and prudent in our approach, that how we need to handle the COVID situation. We have already done that, right, in a very well manner, and I think we would be again able to, let's say, face the COVID in a very good and a healthy manner, right? Lockdown जैसी कोई situation नहीं आने वाली है, आपको पता ही है. जब lockdown लगता है, it has a great impact on the country's productivity, GDP growth. So we will not be looking forward for a lockdown, but yes, certain precaution and surveillance needs to be there. There shall be proper upgradation of infrastructure, and there shall be proper implementation that shall be taken by the states, plus there shall be a proper coordination. That is the need of the hour between the center and the states. Right guys? चलिए आज के लिए इतना ही है. फ्राइडे का न्यूज़पेपर वैसे ही बहुत लाइट होता है. So as a result, this was a very light newspaper for us, right? The main article that was the need of the hour and the questions that have been raised, that is over the All India Judicial Service, right guys? If you have any doubt, you can ask me, then I'm going to end the session for today. हाँ जी, कोई डाउट नहीं है तो सेशन एंड कर दें. ठीक है जी गाइज, तो फिर मिलते हैं कल 9 बजे. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Enjoy. Christmas is coming. New Year is coming. But that doesn't mean you will not complete you will skip your studies. This is the very important part, right? ये जो एक हफ्ता अपना रूटीन नहीं ब्रेक करेंगे, वही आने वाले टाइम में उनको फायदा होगा. जिन्होंने रूटीन ब्रेक कर दिया, फिर नए साल में भी वही रूटीन चलेगा जो 25 से 1 तक चलेगा. Don't think about it that we will start from the new year. That day never comes. We make a lot of promises in new year, but sometimes those are not fulfilled. So keep on doing the things as they are coming and keep on focusing. Don't waste your time. This is a precious time. Just enjoy the night of 25th and the 31st. Rest. You all be studying and working hard, because that is your aim, that is your vision, that is to become an IAS or IPS officer. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye and enjoy.